Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the works of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony says the country's Johnson & Johnson vaccine stock has depleted, as it is currently being used as a primary vaccine as well as a booster. However, the ministry is expecting at least 25,000 doses of the vaccine this week.
In terms of the J&J, while we have limited amounts right now, we are going to get some this week. We are expecting at least 25,000 doses this week. So when we get that, again, those persons who would like to get their boosters with J&J would be able to do that.
Some 28,800 doses arrived on Friday and were handed over to the Ministry of Health. Minister Anthony says after a scientific evaluation, it has been decided that the US-made Pfizer vaccine will also be given as a booster shot for persons who took the Sputnik V vaccine. The following day, Dr. Anthony announced the continuation of the mobile vaccination program, which will only take place in remote areas this year.
So we have taken a decision where we're going to have fixed sites in all the regions, so people know these sites are there. They can come anytime and get their vaccines there. And in addition to that, for some of the more challenging regions, geographically challenging regions, that in those regions we'll continue to have mobile teams.
The PPPC government in its first year in office trained over 2,000 Amerindian youths through its Community Service Officers CSO program. Minister of Amerindian Affairs Pauline Sukai says this program allows for individuals to be trained and to support the development of their communities.
In 2021, we had a full complement of 2,000. In fact, 2,000 plus youths were back on roll with respect to working in their communities meaningfully and being trained and supporting their community development while receiving, of course, a stipend as an incentive.
The minister says this billion-dollar initiative also improves the skills of the Amerindian people and allows for money to circulate in their communities.
We have trained, under that program, we have trained 200 young men and women with respect to solar installation maintenance. We've trained another 200 in driving and operating a tractor, as well as servicing the tractor. And we have completed training also 200 young men and women in ICT in preparation for the major connectivity program.
With a number of projects established in Amerindian communities for 2021, Minister Sukai says the livelihood of youths have been transformed. One such initiative is a setup of 40 sewing units for women in the hinterland regions.
We have embarked on 40 sewing units for women to take care of the school uniform allowance now, which is provided in cash. So women of the hinterland will be trained next year for in garment construction so that they can speedily get into the business of having garments made or uniform made for sale in the villages, especially the remote communities.
Minister Sukai says $150 million has been allocated for additional programs intended to support Amerindian youths, women, and tourism. In keeping with the administration's development agenda, a contract for the construction of a new Demerara Harbor Bridge will soon be signed. Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgels says Cabinet granted its no objection for the project back in November 2021 to have China State Construction Engineering Corporation undertake the works.
And at this stage, a specially appointed team is concluding the negotiations and all the administrative details to prepare for the signing of the contract for the new Demerara Harbor Bridge. Between the week before Christmas and today, 6 such meetings were held, and the sun is getting ready to shine brightly because we should have a final contract agreed on in the very shortest possible time.
Meanwhile, Minister Edgell says government is investing heavily to keep afloat the old Demerara Harbour Bridge, which was neglected by the APNU-AFC administration. Looking at other infrastructural developments, the revised deadline for the completion of additional works by China Harbour Engineering at the Chedijagan International Airport CJIA is now mid-year. The previous deadline for the multi-million-dollar project was December 31, 2021. This was revealed by Minister of Public Works Bishop One Edgell on Monday.
And that was largely because of shipping issues. Most of the components that are coming to facilitate those works are coming out of China, and they've had tremendous shipping issues. We have a revised deadline of June 2022.
The incomplete works include the construction of a curtain wall, corridors for 2 boarding bridges, and a superstructure. The works being executed by China Harbour is funded by the said company to the tune of $1.8 billion. The work is about 54% complete. The Minister of Public Works says government is paying attention and keeping an eye out for non-performing contractors. Minister Edgell says this is to ensure that Guyanese benefit from efficient and quality work for their dollars.
But I can tell you, at the ministry, when it comes to the award of contracts, we have a responsibility to ensure that when we are engaging a contractor, is someone who has the reputation and who could get the job done. So while there is no legislation, we are keeping a very clear eye out on non-performing contractors, contractors who lack the capability or who do shoddy work, because we want to ensure that our record is clear.
Minister Edgell said this is being done across the board in all sectors. Guyana's agriculture sector has made a significant mark on the international food market despite the impact of COVID-19 and the devastating May-June flood last year. From the rice industry alone, Guyana raked in $42.2 billion after exporting approximately 434,535 tons of rice. Minister Zulfikar Mustafa says Guyana has been able to secure 3 additional markets for this product, including the British Virgin Islands, Estonia, and Slovenia.
We have increased our market to those 3 countries. We now have close to about 42 countries where we are exporting rice, and we are looking to improve on that.
The agriculture sector was able to contribute some $2.6 billion to Guyana's gross domestic product, GDP, in 2021 from the exportation of non-traditional crops alone. Government is seeking to expand operations at the Demerara Sugar Terminal at Ramp Road, Rheinveld to facilitate the loading and exporting of paddy and rice. On Wednesday, the Agriculture Minister, along with members of the Guyana Rice Millers Association and the Guyana Rice Development Board, examined the facility.
After meeting with His Excellency the President, he instructed me that I should come here with the GRDB to look at this facility so that they could also have access to use it to export their produce, especially paddy and cargo rice.
Minister Mustafa says the intervention is in tune with the PPPC administration's promise to ease the expense of rice farmers. Residents of Bartica have been assured that the Bartica stelling will be completed. This assurance has been given by Public Works Minister Bishop One Edgell. He says there are policy decisions that have to be made on the way forward with a $240.3 million stelling.
We have engaged the contractor at the highest level, and he had committed to pursuing getting the work done. So when I say there's a policy direction, we have to come to a position of saying whether we continue to wait on the contractor or we terminate and put a new contract in place. But I would like to assure the people of Bartica, in 2022, movement on the Bartica stelling will be done. It is something that is part of our budget 2022 proposals, and we expect between 2022 and 2023, the entire Bartica stelling should be completed. Whether it is done by the old contractor or we go to a new contractor, but we are moving towards getting it complete.
Meanwhile, the Leg 1 stelling is about 55% complete. The $413 million stelling is slated to be substantially completed in May 2022. On the country's river and sea defense, Minister Edgell said this has been strengthened with 6,695 meters of new structures, while 64,651 meters of existing defense structures were maintained in 2021. Close to 1,000 housing units are being constructed by the Central Housing and Planning Authority, CHNPA, targeting low to moderate income earners as well as young professionals. Speaking with DPI, Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell said approximately 590 low and moderate homes are being constructed. These include 350 units in Cummings Lodge, Greater Georgetown, 100 in Prospect, East Bank, Demerara, 100 in Williamsburg, Region 6, and 40 in Amelia's Ward, Linden, Region 10. Additionally, some 350 young professional units are being constructed in Providence and Prospect, East Bank, Demerara.
Because of the many professionals and persons who are working in various disciplines to go through the hassle of having to deal with contractors, getting time off even to do purchases, etc. It's a lot of can be a lot of hustle. And so it's beneficial for them for the housing program. So yes, the demand is there, and that is why you can see we'll see in our 2022 program, we are already targeting to build much more houses.
On Friday, Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Suzanne Rodriguez, handed over the keys to a new 2-bedroom house in Region 6 to a single mother.
I just want to acknowledge what this company, Vitality Inc., has done here today. From the time they launched, I remember being at the launch last year, and it is a company that is very conscious of their corporate social responsibility. And any company that is as committed to giving back and as committed to community development and our human development, I am more than willing to get behind. And so regardless of what the schedule is like, I wanted to ensure that I came here today so that they can know that their work and their contribution is valuable and that it means a lot to all who are involved. And it sets the right tone and it sets the example for other companies to follow suit.
Before we go, here are some scenes from Saturday's massive cleanup exercise undertaken by central government, the Guyana Defense Force, and the private sector. The initiative of President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, which began in Drury Lane, Camberville on Thursday, will be replicated across the country in municipalities and NDCs.
And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the private sector, right, and the joint services for this initiative. Georgetown needs this now. This is an activity that will not only clean up Georgetown and make the place appear better, but it's more linked to environmental health.
Just visited Lamaha Street between Camp and Main Street. Now, what is taking place here is that we are making this a green space, a recreational area where there will be a walkway with benches, with lights, with parking on both sides, so that the public could come out here and recreate. They will have decorative lights, trees, and the work has already begun. We want to take it to a high level by tomorrow night. So you would have seen we have cleared up here, just like we did on Drury Lane, all the things that were on here, and we're now moving the old equipment so we'll be able to get the civil works done.
Capital City Georgetown is part and should be part of our national pride, and we should always seek to have Georgetown being kept in its most pristine form and shape. Over the years, that has deteriorated. In fact, I saw yesterday the mayor of the city, Mr. Ubraj, criticizing this effort, and his comments represents the epitome of stupidity. The mayor should be complimentary in any effort that seeks to assist in cleaning up the city and its environs, because that's primarily the job of the mayor and city council.
Well, this is a massive exercise that is actually led by His Excellency the President. This exercise is a brainchild of His Excellency when he met with members of the private sector, as well as committing the Guyana Defense Force, as well as the Guyana Police Force, and members of the cabinet. Today we are across different parts of Georgetown. We are currently at Durban and Smythe Streets. We are cleaning up this location. What we have here is a combination of volunteers from different parts of Georgetown, and especially from this community. We have the Army, the police, we have myself and Minister Colin Crowell as well, and members of the private sector. We have already moved 1 truckload of garbage. We have probably about 4 more truckloads of garbage to move. After we finish this removing the garbage, we are going to dredge the roadside drains. We are going to do some landscaping, and then we are going to replace a fence so to avoid more garbage being dumped in the area. This exercise is quite significant.
That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website at dpi.gov.gy and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.